This is part 2 of the videos for chapter 37, second video segment regarding partnerships, all forms of partnerships, including general partnerships, limited partnerships, and limited liability partnerships. Where we pick up on this video segment is in the area covering the rights of the partners, as well as the various the rights of the partners, as well as the various duties and liabilities of the partners. So we have two people in a partnership. They decide to form the partnership. They put together a partnership agreement, also known as the Articles of a Partnership. And under the general law, what types of rights do they have as partners is the question we ask. Well, in a general partnership, unless it indicates otherwise, all the partners have equal rights to managing the partnership. If you have a general partnership, two people both have management rights unless the partnership agreement indicates otherwise, which we'll talk about situations where that might come up later on. And unless the partnership agreement states otherwise, each partner has one vote in the management of the partnership on how things go. Let's use a situation involving three partners for this. So each partner has a vote, unless we indicate otherwise, and one might have more than one vote, but they all have three votes. Then for the purpose of conducting business, an ordinary majority is all that you need. Two of the three partners would carry the day. But in events that have to do with that are outside the ordinary course of business, like whether to terminate the partnership or things like that, or maybe to acquire a huge asset that would really change the partnership, you need the unanimous consent of all of the partners in order to do that. When it comes to an ownership interest in the partnership, let's see. The best way to go with this is with an example again. We've got the three partners. Unless the agreement indicates otherwise, when you have the three partners, they each have an equal ownership. Well, let me put it this way. Unless the agreement indicates otherwise, the profits and losses are to be distributed equally, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Well, what happens if you have a situation in which one of the partners contributes $20,000, the second partner contributes $30,000, and the third partner contributes $50,000? They have a lot of different levels of commitment to this partnership financially. Well, if the partnership agreement doesn't indicate when they distribute, profits and losses, it will be shared equally, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. But if the agreement, unless the agreement indicates that this guy gets 20% of the profits, this guy gets 30% of the profits, and this guy gets 50% of the profits, unless it indicates that, it will be distributed, the profits will be distributed evenly. But if it does indicate 20, 30, 50, those profits will be distributed based upon those percentages. And if the agreement doesn't mention losses, the losses will also be distributed 20, 30, 50, just like the profits were. So it's probably a good idea to, if you have different levels of investment with the different partners, to make sure that the agreement calls for an appropriate distribution of the profits from the partnership based upon those percentages. When it comes to compensation, again, the partners don't get an income from the partnership. They get their profit distribution, usually based upon their percentage of ownership. But sometimes you might have in the partnership a managing partner. Let's say the guy who contributed the $50,000 is also managing the partnership. As the managing partner, he might also get a salary from the partnership because he's considered an employee. So you might have that situation because they're going to be doing a little bit more work than the other partners. What other rights does a partner have? Well, he or she has the right to inspect the books of the partnership, to take a look at what's going on. The partners have a right to receive an accounting of the profits and losses of the partnership. We have those rights listed for the partners, especially when you have partners that might not be as intimately involved with the partnership as, say, other partners, and maybe the other partners might try to exclude that information. Now, you can't exclude the information like that from one of the partners. They have a right to have access to the books and inspect them. They have a right to receive an accounting as how the partnership is doing as far as its profits and its losses. And if the other partners refuse, the partner that's in the dark can get an order from the court compelling that information. How about property rights? Well, when it comes to property rights, and this is something that a lot of people get tripped up on. The partners don't own the assets of the partnership. They don't own the machinery, they don't own the cars, they don't own the various assets. The partners only have an ownership interest in the partnership, that 50%, 30%, 20% that I was talking about earlier. But they don't have ownership of the assets, which some people get tripped up on sometime. What if the partnership decides to provide cars to all the partners? Well, the cars are owned by the partnerships. And so the partners that get their cars, they can't go off and sell them on their own later on and pocket the cash. That cash belongs to the partnership. And so you can't be doing that type of playing fast and loose with the partnership assets. So those are the basic rights that a partner has in dealing with his other partners, his or her other partners. Let's talk about the duties and liabilities of partners in the remaining time that we have in this segment. The duties, as I indicated earlier, a partner is considered an agent of the partnership and an agent to his or her other partners. And as an agent, they have a fiduciary duty, which includes a duty of care and a duty of loyalty. What do those two concepts mean? Well, the duty of care means that the partner needs to refrain from engaging in grossly negligent misconduct or intentional misconduct that would be a violation of law and be harmful to the partnership or the partners. So they need to be on their best behavior. If they make a bad judgment, an honest error, or just regular negligence as opposed to gross negligence, that's not a breach of the duty of care. So basically, you've got to make good choices on behalf of your partners and the partnership when you are a partner. The other one is a duty of loyalty. Duty of loyalty means that when it comes to the partnership, that they have to engage in conduct that's in the partnership's best interest and not engage in conflict of interest activity. Let me go straight with the wording in the text. Requires a partner to account to the partnership for any property, profit, or benefit derived from the partner in the conduct of the partnership's business or from the use of its property, and refrain from competing with the partnership. So you can't be involved in activities that might arguably result in a conflict of interest. So how do you get around that? What do partners do? Well, what has to happen is that the partner that has a potential conflict of interest has to give full disclosure to the other partnerships, and then the other partners in the partnership can go, okay, we're good with that. But you cannot, in the partnership agreement, say that we waive the fiduciary duty of loyalty or the duty of care. Those remain intact. You can't get rid of those. You can't say they don't apply. But let's talk about this duty of loyalty. Let's say that the partnership is planning on buying a small strip center. And the partner, one of the partners, owns a similar strip center down the street that has the same type of potential tenants: a pizza joint, dry cleaners, and a phone store, AT&T store. So the partner that already has a similar property down the street might want to disclose to, or should disclose to, his fellow partners that, I think you guys should know, in the interest of giving full disclosure here and keeping my fiduciary duty and duty of loyalty to you guys, I do have a similar business, a similar property down the street that could be competing and could be a potential conflict of interest. And if the partners go, thank you for telling us, we're not going to buy the property then, we don't want to compete with you. That's one way, that's one solution. But the partners could also say, thank you for telling us, we've checked into it and we decided we're going to purchase that property anyway, but we're doing it with eyes wide open after you fully disclose to us what you just did, what your potential conflict of interest. So that's how that would go. Well, we're at 10 minutes again. So I think probably the best thing to do would be to cut this off here, and then we'll pick it up with the next element that's in the text and the outline as far as partnership duties and responsibilities. Talk to you shortly.